Today, we're tackling the newest investment vehicle getting massive attention, Trump accounts. If you've got kids or grandkids, you've probably heard about these. The government's offering $1,000 free money, tax advantage growth, compound interest working for decades. It sounds incredible, right? But here's what I've learned after working as an advisor for over 25 years. When the government launches a new financial product with this much fanfare, you need to read the fine print, not because it's necessarily bad, but because understanding what you're actually getting matters more than the marketing headline. So today we're doing a deep dive. What are Trump accounts really? Who qualifies? What are the actual benefits and limitations? And most importantly, should you or can you open one of these for your child? So let's get right into it. So what are Trump accounts? Now, there's a lot of information and misinformation swirling around. Trump accounts were officially created through the legislation signed on July 4th, 2025, as part of what's called the One Big Beautiful Bill, or the Working Families Tax Cuts. These are not the custodial accounts or custodial Roth IRAs that have existed for decades. This is a brand new type of individual retirement account specifically designed for children. And here's the basic structure. Any American child under age 18 with a Social Security number can have a Trump account established on their behalf. The account is set up by a parent or legal guardian by filing IRS Form 4547 or starting mid-2026 through an online portal at trumpaccounts.gov. Now, here's the part that's generating all the buzz. Children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 are eligible for a one-time 1,000 seed contribution from the U.S. Treasury Department. That's actual government money deposited directly in your account and immediately invested. The Treasury Department will initially create and hold these accounts, selecting specific financial institutions to serve as trustees. Later, families can transfer the account to their preferred financial institution through a rollover process. But let me be clear about the timing here. The online election system launches in mid-2026. The accounts become officially available on July 5th, 2026. If you file your 2025 taxes before the online system is ready and elect to open a Trump account, you'll get activation instructions starting in May 2026. So if you're sitting there thinking, I need to do this today, take a breath. We've got a little bit of time. Now, the $1,000 seed is just the beginning. Trump accounts can receive additional funding from four sources. First, family and friends can contribute up to $5,000 per year starting July 4th, 2026. These are considered qualified general contributions and can come from anyone, not just parents. Number two, employers can make contributions on behalf of their employees' children. We're already seeing major companies announcing matching programs. Schwab, Uber, JP Morgan, Chipotle, and Intel, Starbucks, and many others have pledged to match employee contributions to their kids' Trump accounts, similar to how they match 401k contributions. And third, philanthropists and charitable organizations can donate as well. Michael and Susan Dell pledged $6.25 billion to seed Trump accounts for 25 million children. Ray and Barb Dalio pledged $75 million for 300,000 kids in Connecticut. The Treasury has launched something called the 50-State Challenge to encourage philanthropists to fund accounts state by state. And fourth, state governments themselves can contribute. Several governors are working with the Treasury to determine how the states will participate in funding these accounts. So the account has multiple funding streams beyond the initial government seed. But here's a critical detail. You can only have one funded Trump account per child. You can't open multiple accounts to game the system or get multiple $1,000 seed contributions. So let's talk about some of the restrictions and limitations and investment rules. Let's get to what the promotional materials don't emphasize, the restrictions. Trump accounts have what's called a growth period. That's the time between when the account is established and January 1st of the year the child turns 18. During this growth period, some very specific rules apply. First, and this is critical, no withdrawals are allowed before age 18. None. The money is completely locked up. This isn't like a custodial Roth IRA where you can withdraw contributions. This isn't like a 529 plan where you can use funds for education. Until that child turns 18, the money cannot be touched. Think about that for a moment. What if your family faces a financial emergency? What if your child has extraordinary medical needs? What if you lose your job and need to access every resource available? That money is inaccessible. Period. After age 18, traditional IRA rules kick in. Your now adult child can continue saving for retirement, use the funds to help buy a home, or use them for education. But withdrawals for non-qualified purposes will face penalties on the earnings portion, just like any other IRA. And number two, investment options are extremely limited during the growth period. The IRS guidance is very specific. Trump accounts can only be invested in low-cost index mutual funds or ETFs. And there's a hard cap on fees. Expense ratios cannot exceed 0.10% or 10 basis points. No individual stocks, no actively managed funds, no cryptocurrency, no real estate, just low-cost index funds. This isn't a bad thing. Actually, for most people, low-cost index investing is actually what financial advisors like myself recommend. But if you're someone who believes you can beat the market through stock picking or active management, you won't have that option in these Trump accounts. Also, no leverage is allowed. The account can't borrow money or use margin. Again, this is probably smart for a child's investment account, but it's a restriction worth knowing about. And number three, there are significant reporting and administrative requirements, especially if you want to transfer the account from the Treasury's initial trustee to your preferred financial institution. The rollover process requires the account to be completely transferred and the original account closed. There are 30-day reporting requirements for trustees. It's not as simple as just moving money between banks. So let's get to the question that matters. Should you actually open a Trump account for your child? And my answer is it depends on your specific situation, and it's probably not the miracle solution it's being marketed as. Scenario number one, you have a child born between 2025 and 2028. If your child qualifies for the $1,000 government seed contribution, opening a Trump account is probably a good idea. It's free money. Even with all the restrictions, having $1,000 growing tax advantage for your child's future is better than not having it. However, and this is important, don't let the 1,000 distract you from your own financial priorities. If you're not maxing out your own retirement accounts, if you're carrying high interest debt, if you don't have an emergency fund, those issues should be addressed first. Scenario two, you have a child who doesn't qualify for the seed contribution, but your employer offers matching. This gets a little bit more interesting. If your employer will match contributions dollar for dollar up to, say, $2,500 per year, you're effectively doubling your money immediately. That's a guaranteed 100% return before any market growth. That's super powerful. In this case, contributing enough to get the full employer match probably makes sense, assuming you've handled your own financial foundation first. It's similar logic to contributing enough to your 401k to get the company match. Scenario number three, you have a child who doesn't qualify for the seed and you don't have employer matching. Now we need to ask harder questions. Why would you choose a Trump account over other options like custodial accounts or custodial Roth IRAs? Remember, the money is locked up until age 18 with no exceptions. A 529 plan gives you access for education expenses. A custodial Roth IRA, if your child has earned income, offers more flexibility. Even a regular taxable brokerage account in your name gives you complete control and access. The Trump account's main advantage is the tax treatment. Growth is tax deferred, but is that enough of a benefit to justify the money being completely locked up for 18 years? For some families, yes. For other families, flexibility might be worth more than the tax advantage. Scenario number four, you're trying to decide between a Trump account and a 529 plan. These serve completely different purposes. A 529 plan is for education. A Trump account is for retirement or post-18 financial goals. The question isn't which is better, it's which goal you're prioritizing. If college is the goal, use a 529 plan. If long-term wealth building and retirement savings is the goal, the Trump account might be a good fit. Many families will use both. One critical consideration, 529 plans are treated as parental assets for financial aid purposes, which is favorable. We don't yet have definite guidance on how Trump accounts will be treated for financial aid purposes, but as IRAs, they may not be counted as available assets. This could actually be an advantage for financial aid, but we need a little bit more clarity on that topic. I think what's great about this program is that it expands access to investing for families who might not otherwise start investment accounts for their kids. That's a real benefit. The financial literacy component, teaching kids about compound growth by watching their account grow over 18 years, definitely has some genuine value. But let's be honest about what this is and isn't. This isn't fundamentally changing the economic system. Kids who grow up in wealthy families are still going to inherit vastly more wealth and opportunity than kids who get a $1,000 Trump account. A child in a family that can afford to contribute $5,000 per year on top of the seed contribution will have dramatically more than a child whose family can only accept the government's $1,000. All right, let's bring this home with some concrete steps you can take. Step number 1, determine if your child qualifies for the seed contribution. If they're born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 and have a social security number, they qualify for the $1,000. That is worth claiming. Action step number 2, check if your employer offers matching contribution. How much will they match? What are the requirements? Calculate what that means for your family. Action step number 3, assess your own financial foundation before contributing beyond any free money. This is the most important step. Are you on track for your own retirement? Do you have 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency account? Are you carrying high interest debt? Prioritize those before contributing your own money to a child's locked Trump account. Action step number 4, compare Trump accounts to other savings vehicles for your specific goals. Map out what you're actually trying to accomplish. If it's college, a 529 plan makes more sense. If it's long-term wealth building and you value the tax advantages over flexibility, the Trump accounts could be a good fit. If you want maximum control and access, a taxable account in your name for the benefit of your kids might be a better option. Action step number 5, wait for the online portal and additional guidance. We're still in the early stages. The online election portal doesn't launch until mid-2026. The IRS has requested comments on the proposed regulations through February 20th of 2026, which means rules could still change. There's no benefit to rushing this decision before you have complete information. Action step number 6, if you decide to open one, mark your calendar for when elections open. The online tool at trumpaccounts.gov should be available mid-2026, with accounts being available July 5th of 2026. If you're filing 2025 taxes early and want to elect on Form 4547, you can do that, but activation won't happen until May 2026 at the earliest. Action step number 7, teach your kids about money regardless of what accounts you open. The government is marketing Trump accounts as laboratories of financial literacy. Now, that's nice rhetoric, but real financial literacy comes from parents having ongoing conversations about money. Involve your kids in age-appropriate discussions about saving, spending, investing, and values around money. That education is more valuable than any account. Look, Trump accounts are a new tool, not a magic solution, not a revolutionary transformation of capitalism. It's a tool. Like any financial tool, it has specific features, specific benefits, and specific limitations. For some families, especially those with kids who qualify for the $1,000 seed or those with employer matching, it'll make a ton of sense. For others, different tools might serve their goals better. What I want you to take away from this episode is permission to think critically about this when all the marketing is telling you it's the best thing on the planet. You don't have to open a Trump account just because the government says it's a great idea. You don't have to avoid one just because you're skeptical of political framing. You get to decide based upon your family's actual circumstances and goals. The best financial decisions are made when you understand exactly what you're getting, exactly what you're giving up, and exactly how it fits into your broader financial picture. No amount of promotional language changes that fundamental truth. Once again, this is Brian, the Wealth Decisions Guy. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you next week.